Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. Going to talk about seller's disclosures today. So the rule in Utah is a seller needs to disclose any material information that they know, that they're aware of. And once they do, the burden shifts to the buyer. So it's a great system. It's a great way to do it. Seller, disclose what you know. Buyer, do your homework. And everybody's happy, hopefully. But the question does come up from time to time, what about inspections? So buyer gets an inspection, sends it over to seller, and asks for, repairs or whatever. And let's say the transaction does not end up finishing. So buyer backs out, maybe because of due diligence, for whatever reason, buyer backs out. So now seller's got this 60-page inspection report of potential problems with the property, material information about the property. Maybe not all of it's material, probably not all of it's material, but what do we do with that? This could go with anything. They do an individual meth test. They cite some problem with the sewer line that the seller's not aware of. What do you do with that information as a seller? Well, I think you've got to address it. You got to address it. You can't pretend like, well, I didn't know before, so I'll just go on like I don't know anything. But the key is that you disclose what you know. So let's take that inspection report. I've heard of some brokerages where they just pass it on. I think that's actually a great way to do it. You could either ignore it, which I think is very dangerous, because if there's something in there that's material and now seller doesn't disclose it, well, they have it in their hands. It's going to be hard to say, well, I did not know. I was not aware when it was in front of me. I just chose not to acknowledge it. You can go through and decide what's material. Dangerous, because again, seller is deciding what's material, which is subjective. What is the buyer going to care about? Subjective. Or pass on the whole thing. And that's what I would recommend. And that's what I would probably do if I were in those sellers' shoes, is I would just say, you know what? Next buyer, here's my seller's disclosures. By the way, previous buyer did an inspection and they gave us a copy. Here it is. Now you decide. You read through it, decide what's material. I'm disclosing it because I'm giving it to you. That's what I know, is what they've given to me as the inspection report. That's it. Now do with it what you want, buyer. I think that's a good position to be in. So just remember that with any material information. A buyer says, oh, I had the sewer line scoped and there was a problem. I don't have the report. I don't have the video as the seller. They don't pass any of that on. What do I know? I know a buyer told me that they believe there's an issue. I'm going to pass on that information. I'm going to say, oh, by the way, a buyer did an inspection, said there was a problem with the sewer. I never saw it, never got the report. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm passing on what I know. That's all I'm asked to do under the law. That's all I can do. Now, buyer, if you want to have it rescoped, new buyer, then great, do it. If you decide not to, don't blame me if there is something wrong, because I told you that a buyer reported there was a problem. That's all I know. I've never experienced any difficulties myself. So hopefully that helps. I think that approach, I think, can be applied almost universally to sellers' disclosures. Disclose what you know as a seller. And that's the safest thing to do under Utah law. You should get a nice protection after that by disclosing what you know. This one's important. This is not legal advice. This is legal information only. If you need specific legal advice, please contact your attorney. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.